My name's David. I'm with Let'sQuitOurJobs.com, and I'm going to help make sure that you have what you need to be able to quit your job. I'm going to do this because I'm going through it, and every step of the way that I go through, I'm going to share it with you. That way we can both learn together, and ultimately we can quit our jobs, and that way we can enjoy the rest of our lives. So to answer that question, how much money should I have in savings? Very simple. The least amount of money that we should have in savings is $1,000. Only 39% of Americans have $1,000 in savings to cover an emergency. If this is us, it's terrifying. We have to make sure that we have at least $1,000 in savings to cover unexpected events. If we want to quit our jobs, and if you're watching this channel, I know you do. If we want to quit, this is terrifying. We have to have money set aside to cover emergencies. If we don't, one of two things are going to happen. One, we're either going to go into debt or further into debt, or two, we're going to have to get a job or work extra overtime just to cover something that we should have money set aside for. Now, I admit it is impossible to tell you an exact amount for every situation and every person. However, every person from Jeff Bezos all the way to a minimum wage worker can apply these principles, and they're going to be well covered to know how much they should have in their savings. All right, so how much should we have? I understand this is a very difficult question to answer specifically for each individual person because each individual person varies greatly. But all the way from Jeff Bezos to the minimum wage worker, we can apply these principles to manage our finances, and we'll be well on the road to controlling our own finances to where we can be financially independent one day. And the easiest way to look at it is our financial buckets. Some buckets are meant to be filled, some buckets are meant to be emptied, and some buckets are meant to be filled to the brim but never overflow. Just keep filling those buckets forever. One of the things we have to understand with money is that every dollar has a purpose. And when we're getting paid an income after taxes, our net income, 10% of it, no less than 10%, should go to pay you first. The very first thing you're taught in financial books such as The Richest Man in Babylon is to pay yourself first. This 10% is to work for you, and to work for your goals, your purposes in life. This isn't to buy a new car, to put tires on the car. It's not to put kids in college. It's not to go out to eat. It's not to do any of that. It's only to work for you. And by working, I mean it's going to pay off debt, and it's going to buy investments or savings. Minority mindset refers to them as seeds. We're buying seeds that will grow for us in the future. This is getting money to work for us, and that is the only way that we can actually become financially independent and be able to quit our jobs. Along with paying ourselves first in those financial buckets, the very first bucket that we should have filled is our temporary emergency bucket. This one is covered earlier. We got to have at least $1,000 in savings ready to go when something does happen. Something's going to happen. If we have $1,000 minimum ready to go, we can cover most of it, if not all of it, or a good chunk to at least get us covered. I propose $2,000. I mentioned that before. $2,000 goes a little bit further. I actually have another $500, so I have $2,500 in my temporary emergency fund, just to cover a little bit more, to make sure a little bit more cushion. All right, the second bucket we're going to have, this bucket is not to be filled. It's meant to be emptied. And this is going to be our high interest credit debt, mainly consumer debt, credit cards, auto, anything that's over 3 or 4% interest, anything that you don't like paying interest on at all, minus the house, leave the house out of this for now, attack. Some people say 7% or higher, take care of it. Some people say 3%, take care of it. Dave Ramsey says if you have debt, anything other than the house, you got to take care of it. They will all work. The truth is that one plan might work for one person, another plan for this person, that plan works for this person. They are all different. They all have very strong opinions, but we have to figure out what works for us, and we have to put that plan into action. Any plan is better than no plan, which is what most of the country goes by now, as a free-for-all when it comes to money. So even if we're paying a little bit higher interest, paying debt, snowball effect versus the avalanche effect, starting with the high interest, snowball, you start with the lowest one. They'll both work. They'll both get you to your end goal. You have to pick one, you have to stick with it, and you have to see it through. So decide between you and your family which way you want to go, which interest rates you want to take care of. I want to take care of everything that's not the house. I have a little bit of consumer debt. Take care of that. That bucket, once it's filled, you're good to go. Don't fill it back up again. And if you do, take care of it right away. Things happen, I understand. But empty your second bucket, which is your consumer debt, your high interest debt. All right, our third financial bucket is our full emergency bucket. This thing is going to be filled to the brim. By this, I mean it's going to cover at least 6 months worth of expenses, 3 to 6 months, depending on you and your situation, what you and your family decide. I know when my wife and I talk, we're talking no less than 6 months. So if I lose my job or quit my job, I could theoretically live off of this full emergency fund for 6 months without stressing anything. All the bills would be taken care of, still have food, still have lights on, and we'd still live comfortably and not having to pinch pennies. Obviously, you'd go into savings mode, not spending as much, but you'd be covered, and you'd be covered for a while, 6 months to find a good job. But we're leading them from 6 months to a year, especially with the end goal of wanting to quit our job, quit my job. We want to make sure that we're covered. And the easiest way to do it, takes a long time, is to fill that bucket to the absolute brim. And then once we get that bucket filled, we'll move on to the next one. Bucket number 4 is the fun bucket. A lot of people, Dave Ramsey, Graham Stephan, financial advisors who are very popular, they all propose very good, strong financial plans. They're very good, beneficial for anybody who can follow them. The problem with a lot of people, similar to dieting, is there's only a handful of people in the world that can actually take a diet, stick to it for the rest of their lives. A problem that we have as humans, as Americans, is we'll make good traction. As soon as it gets tough, we'll loosen up a little bit, and then we can end up losing our grip indefinitely. So we need to find a balance between a good, strong, strict budget, but one that can make us make sure that we enjoy life. One of the things that we don't want to get wrapped up in is not enjoying life, not living now. We do want to make sure that we are having fun and we're taking care of things, we're getting recreation, but we don't want to go crazy. So we're going to avoid going crazy by budgeting it. If you want to go to Arizona in a year, what you do is you simple budget the trip, find out how much it's going to cost, and if you've got 12 checks between now and then, start chipping away at it. Take that whole lump sum, divided by 12, and then that's how much you'll have to pay each week to ensure that you are able to get to Arizona in 1 year. So that's the fun bucket. If you want to go on a family vacation, trip, Arizona, cruise, movies, park, Cedar Point, any of that, that's the bucket that's going to collect all that money to make sure that you can have fun. And it's up to you to figure out how much you want to put in there. All right, bucket number 5. This is the big bucket. Bucket 3 got filled to the brim. Bucket 4 is a modest bucket. Bucket 5 is one that's never going to be filled up. And this is our investment buckets. Whether you choose to invest in the real estate or in the stock market or another avenue or another venture, it's up to you. But that 10%, no less than 10%. So we don't want to hoard it. That 10% is going to make investments. Minority Report talks about buying seeds. Is it risky? Yes. Warren Buffett talks about investing in only what you understand. If someone's trying to get you to invest in Bitcoin, you have no idea how it works, don't invest in Bitcoin. If you're an Apple fan and you understand how Apple makes their money, Apple's a good place for you to invest. Bucket number 5 is never filled. It always goes towards investing for you and for your future and for your family's future. Remember, this is not just our future here, but it's our kids' future and also maybe our grandkids' future. Generational wealth. So that big bucket never fills. Always keep investing. The important part to know about money is it can only protect you so far. Our savings account isn't to buy us a new house if our house burns down in a fire. That's what insurance is for. Insurance, necessary evil, I guess. Money can only do so much for us, and we don't want to hoard it to cover living arrangements. We'll buy insurance for that to make sure that we are covered for catastrophic loss. So make sure you understand that money only goes so far in protection. 6 months or a year, up to you and your family. Just make sure that you know that you will need something to prevent you from losing catastrophically. All right, so I want to know your thoughts. What do you think about the financial buckets? What do you think is the best way to pay off debt? Consumer debt, do you start with the avalanche where you go from the highest ones down to the lowest? Or do you do the Dave Ramsey style and start with the smallest debt and then go up? Let me know in the comments below. And also, what do you want your emergency fund bucket to be at? Do you want it to be closer to 3 months, 6 months, to a year? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Once again, I'm David with Let'sQuitOurJobs.com. Let's work hard and focus so that one day we can quit our jobs and then we can do whatever we want to do and we can enjoy the rest of our lives. So until then, enjoy the rest of your life.